Scott Grady, Joan Rivers, and the United States Supreme Court are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is June 8th, 2021. It is the 159th day of the year. We got 206 days left in 2021. It's your 23rd Tuesday in the 24th week and the 81st day of spring. We got 13 days left until summer. We had a little turn in the weather here this week. It went to rainy and gloomy here in Oregon. I know that's extremely unusual, but yeah, normally this time of the year we're about 90 degrees. Anyway, if today's your birthday, your birthstone is a pearl or a moonstone. Today is World Oceans Day. World Oceans Day serves as a celebration of our oceans, which generate most of the oxygen we breathe, feeds us, and regulates the planet's climate. The day also serves to promote the ocean's contributions to life and the need to protect it from harmful pollution, overexploitation, destructive fishing, and climate change. Unfortunately, as a result of human pollution and exploitation, the world's oceans are becoming increasingly delicate. In 1992, the government of Canada proposed World Ocean Day at the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro. All right, let's see what else June 8th has given us. We're going way back on this one. 793. Vikings raid the abbey at Lindisfarne in Northumbria, commonly accepted as the beginning of Norse activity in the British Isles. If you've ever seen the TV show on History Channel called Vikings, they kind of bring this one up. And the Vikings found Great Britain, at the time, England, whatever it was, and they raided this abbey, and they go there expecting it to be like a normal town filled with gold, and, you know, what Vikings did back in the day is take the women and all that stuff. When they get there and it's nothing but dudes, and they were all confused. They're like, what is going on? Why are you guys all here alone? It was weird. It was pretty funny, actually. And if you know anything about Vikings raiding, Europe, it got ugly for quite a few centuries with them. 1066 is actually considered when the Viking Age in Britain was over. Must have been horrible living in Britain back then, especially if you're like in a coastal community. These guys just show up out of nowhere, a bunch of bearded axe-carrying sociopaths. Raid your village, kill everyone, take your women, take everything of value, and just leave. Hit another village down the coast, and then go back to Scandinavia. The British called it raids, invasions, all kinds of things. The Scandinavian or the Norse people just called it a way to make a living. 1906, Theodore Roosevelt signs the Antiquities Act into law, authorizing the president to restrict the use of certain parcels of public land with historical or conservation value. 1918, a solar eclipse is observed at Baker City, Oregon. 1953, the United States Supreme Court rules in the District of Columbia versus John R. Thompson Company that restaurants in Washington, D.C. cannot refuse to serve black patrons. 1966, Topeka, Kansas is devastated by a tornado that registers as an F5 on the Fujita scale. This was the first tornado to exceed 100 million in damages. 16 people are killed, hundreds more are injured, and thousands of homes are damaged or destroyed. 1995, downed U.S. Air Force pilot Captain Scott O'Grady is rescued by U.S. Marines in Bosnia. This is a great real-life story. On June 2nd, 1995, Captain Scott O'Grady was shot down over Bosnia and Herzegovina by a surface-to-air missile and was forced to eject from his F-16. He survived the ejection and landed what would be considered hostile territory. Now, there wasn't a real legit military force in the area. It was really like militias. He grabbed his survival bag, which is about a 29-pound bag, and ran and hid in the woods. Rubbed mud on his face to hide his pasty white face. That's why, it's really weird. The pilots in the unit I was in, they had to have full camouflage on the face and everything like that in case of a situation like this. We used to call people without camouflage on their face pasty. So that's where the word pasty come in. Anyway, he landed pasty. So he's rubbing mud on his face and hiding. A couple different times they were so close that they were actually just firing randomly into the woods to try and get him to come out or whatever. But he survived a full week, drinking rainwater, plants, and everything. Luckily, he had gone through this. They have this survival course for the pilots, which I believe is like about 2 weeks worth of training. And usually you get updates to the different plants and stuff that you can eat in the area that you'll be operating in. Like if you're going to the desert, they're going to teach you how to find water in the desert and what cactus you could eat or stuff like that, And if you're going to be in the jungle, they just show you what insects, what frogs not to eat, things like that. So O'Grady's been in the woods for almost a week, just hiding from people, basically. His battery was almost dead on his little survival radio and his beacon was going to be out. And they finally picked up a ping from him and they realized, okay, we got to go check this out. So they actually sent in the Marines on a couple Sea Stallions, which is the helicopter that the Navy and the Marines use all the time. They were supported by other aircraft, some jets and some attack helicopters, things like that. But they went to where the beacon was, and as they were getting there, they saw some yellow smoke coming out of the woods. O'Grady had seen them, knew what they were, popped some smoke. Usually when the helicopters land, all the Marines or military, army, whatever, get out and they make a perimeter in case anyone's going to attack them. And then the second group gets out and makes more of a perimeter, or they go find the person. Well, he came running in, jumped on the helicopter, and they were gone. They were only on the ground like 5 minutes, they said. He survived. They made a pretty cool movie about it. It wasn't the best, but it was decent. It was made in 2001. It was called Behind Enemy Lines, and it's loosely based on his experience. Owen Wilson played him. These days, I think he's running for some political office or something like that, and he's way into like conspiracy theories. It's strange. 2007, Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia, is hit by the state's worst storm and flooding in 30 years, resulting in the death of 9 people and the grounding of a cargo ship. 2009, 2 American journalists are found guilty of illegal entering North Korea and sentenced to 12 years in a labor camp. Premiered on June 8th, 2009, Nurse Jackie. I loved this show. It starred Edie Falco as Nurse Jackie, who was a nurse in an emergency room and was addicted to pills like Vicodin and stuff like that. This was made during the height of the opiate epidemic and all that. And it was a really, really good movie. There's more to it than just her being on pills. It is such a good show. If you don't know who Edie Falco is, she was from The Sopranos. She played Tony Soprano's wife, Carmela. If you ever get a chance, watch that series. I think they did like 7 seasons. It was so good. It was on Showtime. Now I think you can grab it on Netflix. Born on June 8th, 1933, Joan Rivers, American comedian, actress, and television host. Sadly, she died in 2014. She was one of my favorite female comedians of all time. She had such great jokes when she used to just do stand-up. Then she got a little crazy in the later years. But in her early days, she was great. One of my favorite jokes she told where she said when she got a divorce from her cheating first husband, she said she went to the lawyer's office, signed the papers, the divorce was final. In New York City, she walked out, grabbed a cab, told the cab driver, "Get me someplace where I can find a man, no strings attached, and have a good time right now." And then she said, "He drove me to my ex-husband's office." She was so funny. Died on June 8th, 1982, Satchel Paige, American baseball player. He was great. He was the first black pitcher to play in the American League and was the 7th black player to play in Major League Baseball. In 1948, Paige became the first player that had played in the Negro Leagues to pitch in a World Series. He played for the Cleveland Indians at the time, and they won that World Series. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys got some good information out of it. Hope you enjoyed it. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.